What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. In today's episode, we're actually going to be taking a look at what it would look like in Pokemon Go if the level cap was raised to level 45. As time goes on, more and more players find themselves reaching level 40 and maxing out multiple Pokemon. You can't help but think that eventually Niantic is going to increase the level cap. So what I've done is a ton of math behind the scenes to focus on a couple of different topics that I think players would be interested in. The first one, how much experience would it actually take to make it to level 45? Then we're going to take a look at the Pokemon side in regards to powering up. How much Stardust would it take? How much candy would it take? And then finally, what would the stats look like if the new max level for the Pokemon was raised up to level 45? If you do enjoy this episode, be sure to drop a like on it. If we end up getting enough support, we'll definitely do a level 51 in the future. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the episode. So the first thing that I want to talk about is going to be related to the XP. Based on calculating what the average was for all of the levels in the past, I estimated level 45 to need 80 million XP in total to be able to reach that level 45. This is actually going to be 60 million higher than what it takes to get to level 40 currently in Pokemon Go. But speaking of 80 million experience, I actually have to give a huge shout out to PokeAK for suggesting this video to me on Twitter. Coincidentally, PokeAK does have 81 million experience, so he would actually be able to reach level 45. So that's actually going to reach into the question of the day. How much experience do you have in Pokemon Go? And where would you actually fall on this list? Are you going to be one of those players who does make it to level 45 as soon as it gets added in? I do want to go ahead and say that I think most players are ready for this XP when you're talking about players who have kind of surpassed level 40. Since there hasn't been any type of cap instituted, a lot of players could basically directly translate over to level 45. The true cost, or the true basically thing that's going to stop people, is going to be related to the candy and the Stardust. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that cost would be. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Stardust cost along with the candy cost. This kind of caught me off guard. I thought initially it would probably be something like XP, that would be the biggest barrier. But once you start looking at these numbers, if Niantic chooses to go on the same projection, this is going to be very tough to still be able to get your Pokemon up to level 45. So let's go ahead and take a look at the candy cost. If you were talking about the final power up to level 45, it would be estimated to cost you 24 candy for a single power up. That may not seem like a lot, but when you're talking about something like a legendary Pokemon, just imagine how much rare candy you would need just to do a single power up. And because every power up is only a 0.5 level, there's going to be so much candy cost associated, which I will show a graph to show between the different levels. And when we're talking about the Stardust cost, it unfortunately doesn't get any better, because for the Stardust cost to make it up to that level 45, it's going to be estimated to cost 13,000 Stardust for a single power-up, and that is definitely going to take its toll over time. So speaking of that, I definitely thought that this graph would be very helpful. We're talking about the overall cost related to going from 40 to 45, even down to 35, 30, 25, just whatever you want to look at, basically for your Pokemon. I definitely thought going down to 15 made a lot of sense because we are able to catch Pokemon at level 15, especially related to the just like research quest. So go ahead and take a look at that Stardust cost. It's actually not as crazy as what you would think. Going from a level 15 up to the level 45 would cost roughly 370,000 Stardust. That is not too terrible if you think about it from a long-term strategy. But if you go ahead and check out that candy cost, wow, that is crazy just to see a number like that. So beyond kind of taking a look at the costs associated to everything, I thought it would be a lot of fun to go ahead and take a look at 3 different Pokemon. And that is actually going to be Tyranitar, Mewtwo, and Kyogre. We're going to go ahead and take a look at what they would look like at level 45. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first Pokemon, and that is Tyranitar. So when we take a look at Tyranitar, it unfortunately does not reach past that 4,000 CP, but it does get really close at 3,951. Tyranitar is already an incredible Pokemon from the rock typing, from the dark typing, and it has a very good long-term value. So if there was a Pokemon that I would pick to actually power up to level 45, it would definitely be Tyranitar as one of like the top 5, even long-term with all of the gens added in. Another interesting Pokemon I thought people would like would be taking a look at Mewtwo. So Mewtwo, finally able to make it past the 4000 CP if we can power it up to level 45. As many of you know, Mewtwo was originally nerfed, so even with the nerf, it does make it to a pretty substantial number. At 4,287, Mewtwo at level 45 would be incredible, and maybe by that time we would be able to get the exclusive move Size Strike, which would make it even better than what it currently is. So the third and final Pokemon that I wanted to take a look at is going to be Kyogre. So you can also technically calculate Groudon off of this because they do have the exact same stats. But a level 40 Kyogre would make it to 4,386. Go ahead and check that out. Imagine having a Pokemon like this. Would this be a Pokemon that would be worth powering up? Well, honestly, I think so, especially from that water typing. It also has a little bit of usability from the ice, but just as a strict water type attacker, this would be a Pokemon that would be incredible at level 45. So I've covered everything that I think you would need to know about level 45. We talked about the experience, we talked about the Stardust cost, the candy cost, what the Pokemon would actually look at. This is something that I'm personally very excited to see in the game. And do I think that these numbers are realistic? Actually, for the most part, I do. So I think that the candy cost does need a little bit of an update. It seems like that would just be a little bit too much, but who knows? Maybe having a maxed out Pokemon costing all of that candy would make it a super special Pokemon to have. But anyways, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.
Hit me like a tidal wave.